I never thought I'd be the one to shatter a family myth. But sometimes the truth refuses to stay buried, especially when it's been covered by years of deliberate lies. I am a 38-year-old man. My sister Melissa is 41. She has 2 children, Tyler, who is 16, and Sophie, who is 14. For the past 12 years, they've believed their father, David, abandoned them when Sophie was just 2 years old. They've grown up with the story that their dad simply walked out one day, never to return, leaving my sister to raise them alone. It's a story that has shaped their entire childhood. My sister has played the role of the heroic single mom who overcame abandonment to give her kids a good life. The kids have processed their own feelings of rejection and abandonment. The family has rallied around them, supporting Melissa emotionally and financially, all because of this foundational story. But it's a lie, all of it. The truth is that David never abandoned his children. My sister cheated on him with her boss, lied about it when confronted, then cleaned out their joint bank account while David was on a business trip. When he returned to find their savings gone and evidence of the affair on her laptop, he confronted her again. The argument escalated and she called the police, claiming he had threatened her. He was removed from their home. What followed was one of the ugliest divorce and custody battles I've ever witnessed. Melissa fabricated stories of David's supposed emotional abuse, leveraged her boss's connections to get character witnesses, and even convinced some family members that David was dangerous and unstable. She was awarded primary custody, and David was granted limited visitation rights. But Melissa didn't stop there. She moved 3 times in 2 years, making it nearly impossible for David to keep track of where his kids were. She changed her phone number repeatedly. When David would finally locate them and try to exercise his visitation rights, she would claim the children were sick or had important activities they couldn't miss. Eventually, she got a restraining order based on claims that David was harassing her with his constant attempts to see the children. How do I know all this? Because David reached out to me about 8 years ago, desperate for any information about his kids. He showed me court documents, emails, and even recordings of phone calls that painted a very different picture than the one my sister had been telling. He also showed me copies of letters, birthday cards, and child support payments he'd been sending for years. Money that was received, but acknowledgments that were never passed on to the children. I confronted Melissa back then. She denied everything at first, then justified her actions by saying David didn't deserve to be in their lives, that she was protecting the kids. When I pressed her about the lies, she threatened to cut me off from seeing Tyler and Sophie if I ever told them the truth. Since I value my relationship with my niece and nephew, I reluctantly kept her secret. I did, however, maintain occasional contact with David, sending him photos and updates about the kids when I could. It wasn't much, but it was something. He remarried about 5 years ago, but has never stopped trying to reconnect with his children. Fast forward to last month. Tyler found an old photo album in the attic while looking for something else. It contained pictures of David with him and Sophie when they were little. This sparked questions, as the photos showed a dad who seemed loving and involved, not the disinterested father who would later abandon them. Tyler and Sophie came to me with their questions. They said they had tried asking their mom, but she got defensive and shut down the conversation. They wondered if I, as their uncle who had been around during that time, could fill in some blanks. I was stuck in an impossible position. Either continue the lie that had shaped their understanding of themselves and their family, or tell them the truth that would upend everything they thought they knew. After a sleepless night weighing my options, I decided they deserved the truth. They're teenagers now, not small children. Tyler is starting to think about college and adult life. They've spent their whole childhood processing a false abandonment. It seemed cruel to let them continue believing a lie, especially when that lie was causing them genuine pain and confusion. So I told them. Not all at once, and not every detail, but the general truth. Their father had never willingly left them. He had fought to stay in their lives. He had been sending letters, cards, and support for years. Their mother had systematically kept them from him and had lied about the circumstances of the divorce. They were stunned, as expected. There were tears, anger, disbelief. They asked for proof, and I showed them some of the evidence David had shared with me: court documents, returned letters, records of child support payments. I also gave them their father's current contact information, making it clear that whether they reached out to him was entirely their decision. Both kids left my house that day in emotional turmoil. I texted Melissa to let her know what had happened, feeling she deserved a heads up before her children confronted her. The explosion was nuclear. Melissa showed up at my door screaming that I had destroyed her family, that I had no right to tell her children twisted lies about their past. When I pointed out that I had only shared documented facts, she changed tactics, saying the kids were too young to understand the complexities of adult relationships, that I had ruined their childhood and broken their hearts unnecessarily. "They were fine not knowing," she yelled. "They had adjusted. Now you've reopened wounds for no reason." I disagreed. They weren't fine. They had built their identities around an abandonment that never happened. They deserve to know the truth, especially as they approach adulthood. The fallout has been intense. Tyler and Sophie confronted Melissa with the evidence I showed them. According to Sophie, who texted me afterward, Melissa broke down and admitted most of it was true, though she tried to justify her actions as protecting them from a toxic situation. Both kids have since reached out to their father. They've had video calls with him and his new wife, who apparently has always known about them and supported David's efforts to reconnect. They're planning an in-person meeting next month. Melissa is now refusing to speak to me. She's told our parents and extended family that I interfered in her parenting and poisoned her children against her with selective truths. Some family members think I should have minded my own business, that exposing Melissa's lies wasn't worth hurting the kids. Others believe the kids had a right to know about their father, regardless of how painful the revelation might be. Tyler and Sophie are still processing everything. Sophie told me she feels betrayed by her mother, but also grateful to finally understand why she's always had abandonment issues. Tyler is angry at his mother for the lies and also somewhat at me for not telling him sooner. Both are cautiously optimistic about building a relationship with their father, but it's early days. Melissa sent me a long text yesterday saying I've destroyed the children's image of their mother and that our relationship may never recover from my betrayal. She said a good brother would have supported her narrative for the sake of family peace and the children's emotional stability. I can't help questioning my decision. Did I overstep by telling them the truth? Should I have encouraged them to keep pressing their mother instead? Was this my story to tell? The truth has come out and it can't be put back in the box. For better or worse, Tyler and Sophie now know that their father never abandoned them. Their mother took them from him. They know that the parent they've trusted implicitly for their entire lives constructed an elaborate fiction that shaped their childhood experiences. So, am I the jerk for telling my sister's kids the truth about their father after she spent years lying to them? Did I unnecessarily complicate their already complex lives? Or did they deserve to know the reality of their family history, painful though it might be?